Begin with a Margaret will begin with our opening music.
Oh, no, I didn't. Unless you want me to. Because I'll be singing and I'll be doing
Thank you, Margaret. If you will read along with me in our reflective moment. Love produces a flow of energy that I'll now feel. I feel more than others, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. And thank you, Midge Jones. Steve is going to do our spiritual words of wisdom for us.
Excuse me. Yeah, we didn't
Oh,
do
wait,
an opening
I'm sorry.
prayer, did we?
Thank you. And a song? I did. I jumped right past him. Okay. Susan, would you do our opening prayer, please?
Yes. Good morning and a happy new year. So let's start off the morning by breathing in and closing our eyes and allowing that flow of energy to go from Father Sky, Mother Earth, throughout our body. Creator, Mother, Father, God, we truly give thanks for this wonderful day, for all of the blessings you have brought us, for the cool weather, for all of the moisture that will make things grow, including our desires for a new and beautiful new year, one filled with peace, with love, with friends, with family. And we give thanks for each and every one of them. We give thanks for the new knowledge that's coming our way by way of our speaker, knowing that we will be blessed and that we will be able to be more of a light to shine to others by his knowledge that he gives to us. For each thing, for our health, for our well-being, for all of the friends around us, for these things, we truly give thanks. And so it is. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Now we do a song?
Yes, now we do a song.
Now we do a song.
Sweet, sweet, no, yeah, sweet, sweet spirit. Is that the one? Okay. Thank you to Margaret and our choir. Love our choir. I think it's so cool. Okay, now I'm back on track, I think. Spiritual reading.
Okay, get to my place here.
Okay.
This is from the Tao Te Ching, The Virtual Way, which I hope it shows up the right way. Still backwards. Okay. Anyway, Kate managed to grab this book, and I'm going to read verse 38 from it. The highest virtue. The highest virtue does not reveal inner power, so it has inner power. The lowest virtue does not conceal inner power, so it is without inner power. The highest virtue acts without interfering and also without intentional acting. The lowest virtue acts without interfering, but with intentional acting. The highest humanity acts with interference, yet without intentional action. The highest justice acts with interference and also with intentional acting. The highest morality acts with interference, yet if nobody conforms to it, then they roll up their sleeves and enforce it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Hence, lose the Tao, and it is followed by virtue. Lose virtue, and it is followed by humanity. Lose humanity, and it is followed by justice. Lose justice, and it is followed by morality. Truly, this morality is the thinning out of loyalty and sincerity. It is the beginning of confusion. Prophets are the embellishment of the Tao, but also folly of beginning. Also the folly of beginning. Therefore, great respected masters, pardon me, these glasses are, yeah, that too. Therefore, great respected masters reside in the profundity of the Tao, not merely staying on its surface. They reside in its substance rather than staying in its embellishment, hence deciding what to keep and what to reject. Whoa, I'm gonna have to read that a few times.
Yeah, that's gonna take some thought.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a website, it's called Spirit Science.
Called what?
SpiritScience.com, and they will explain it further.
Kate says there's a website called the SpiritScience.com that goes into explaining some of this a little bit better if you choose to follow through on it.
Yeah.
But what he's read kind of has give thought. Yeah.
Really? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we have a song in your book, 101, Have Thine Own Way. And our choir and Margaret. Like your shirt. now we have our beloved Mark Wolf from Kentucky, and he didn't get any snow, but we did, and that's okay because we love it. Mark has been down there for quite a number of years now, and we miss him sorely, but love having him here every month or even sometimes twice a month. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Am I on? Is that me?
You're on. That's
All
you.
right. Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hey, guess what? It's a new month, a new year, you know, and here we are together again in Farmington, New Mexico, of all places. So why don't we pause just for a moment, just to be thankful and for all of our blessings, which are many, and just to acknowledge the miracle that we are and the miracle and the synchronicities that brought us here together this morning. So a new year, wow, 2024, you know, who would have thought we'd make it this far? 2024, you know, that sounds like it should be like 100 years in the future, right? Ooh, you know, 2024, flying cars and colonies on the moon, you know, that sort of thing. 2024, wow. But anyway, it's here we are, and it's a new year, and many people like to make New Year's resolutions. You know, maybe some of you have made some resolutions for the new year, or perhaps you made resolutions for New Year's in the past. So why do we do that? I mean, what's up with that? Why do we make resolutions at all? Well, it's simple. It's really very simple. We want to become better people. You know, it's no more complicated than that. And you know, at the end of the year, it's Christmas, and we want to relax. I mean, good luck with that, and try to relax and enjoy the holiday and all the usual rules. Just kind of relax. You know, so somehow it's okay to have an extra cookie, you know, well, it's Christmas. It's okay to have another glass of wine, or me on Christmas Day. Oh, well, it's okay to have a third helping of turkey and dressing, right? Because it's Christmas, right? No, it's okay. And so all of the usual rules just kind of relax and loosen up. And then all of a sudden it's January, you know, and all the rules tighten up again. And your belt kind of tightens up again too, you know, and so we make resolutions because we want to be better people in the new year, make the new year better. So, for example, when I say, well, you know, I'm going to be more patient with my kids. Well, I'm going to stop smoking. Well, I'm going to cut back on alcohol. Well, I'm going to lose weight. And in the year, I'm going to walk 2 miles every day, and I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to get in shape. That one's popular. And I'm going to eat right. I'm going to save money and pay off those credit cards, but I'm going to stop procrastinating. April, I'm going to stop procrastinating. Okay, May, and you know, and on and on. And so and they're all good. They're, you know, endless examples. And but how many times do we follow through with the resolutions? I mean, come on. How many times do we really follow through with these resolutions? You know, this is the beginning of the second week of the new year. And how many of those good resolutions have already been forgotten? Probably most of them. And, you know, and then you blink twice and it's June, you know, and we're thinking, oh yeah, you know, I was going to walk 2 miles a day, and I was going to lose weight. Well, I was going to start meditating 10 minutes a day. Well, that didn't happen. You know, and so we move on, and somehow powerless to make the changes that we want to make. The changes that we ought to make, we want to make those changes. So where's the disconnect? I mean, seriously, what's wrong? Why is it so hard? Well, look, here's the thing. All of the resolutions that are forgotten by the end of New Year's Day, right? All the resolutions that fizzle out or they just fail altogether. They failed because of one specific issue. Okay, this is very simple. And it doesn't have to be just New Year's resolutions. This applies to any kind of a change that we need to make whenever we need to make it. You know, so like, you know, the doctor comes back and says, well, you know, your A1C is a little elevated. You're going to have to change your diet and start to exercise. You know, so whatever it is, whenever it is, the success of the change depends on the answer to one simple question. All right. And here it is, okay? Who's the boss of me? All right, that's a very simple question. Who is the boss of me? It is a simple question, but it is not easy to answer. And no matter how good our resolutions, no matter how urgently or desperately we need the change, the success or the failure will depend on the answer to this one simple question: who is the boss of me? You know, and sometimes people wrestle with this question for decades. I was talking to my son the other day. He's 20. When did my baby turn 20? You know, and what day was that? And it was just him and me. And he was telling me about some changes that he wants to make in his life. And he was having trouble making the change and then getting the change to stay changed without changing back. All right. You know, make the change and make the change stay changed. And so I told him a story about my dad, a story that my dad told many, many times. So now I guess I need to tell you. My dad, like most people of that generation, was a smoker. And we need to remember that at that time, smoking was extremely common, and people who did not smoke were the exception. And so my dad was a smoker. And at the time, this is 1968, and he was working as an automobile repair instructor at the vocational school. My dad was a very gifted teacher. But anyway, on this one particular night, the class was over, but the students kept asking questions. And so my dad wanted them to stop asking questions and, you know, give it a rest. This class is over, because he wanted to go out in the hallway and have a cigarette. And so he finally just kind of shut them down, you know, okay, we're done here. So he could get out in the hallway and have a cigarette. And then he realized, had this realization that the cigarette was really in charge. And the cigarette was really basically telling him what to do and when. And so as he described it, he looked at the cigarette, and not in these exact words, but he said, "You're not the boss of me anymore." And he put the cigarette down and never smoked again. You're not the boss of me. And, you know, we struggle with this. And I had my own struggle with it for more than one. But the first big one, not surprisingly, was with alcohol. Okay. And listen, seriously, the amazing thing is that everybody in my generation did not grow up to become alcoholics. You know, I mean, seriously, because you just think about how we were exposed to alcohol use on television. Okay, this is the 1960s, right? And what was ever more completely unbearably funny than Lucille Ball? I Love Lucy season 1, Vitamuta Vegemin. You know, Vitamuta Vegimax, this is good stuff. You know, it was hilarious. It was, and then listen, I was in a nightclub in 1977, and I ordered a Mai Tai only because Lucy had ordered a Mai Tai in an episode of The Lucy Show. You know, without realizing until it's too late that a Mai Tai is a sweet, very potent rum punch. Anyway, or Don Knotts playing Barney Fife. It's okay, Ange, put that in your schwipe and poke it. It was funny. Or Granny Clampett. Remember Granny Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies? I mean, I loved that show. I was related to those people. Those were my relatives. And Granny was busy making moonshine down by the cement pond. It was really funny, you know? And so I grew up believing that if you want to be cool and you want to be funny and you want to be amazing, well, all you need is alcohol. You know, and if you were rude or obnoxious, or if you're just a jerk, it was okay, because all you have to do is say the 3 magic words, "I was drunk," and you get a free pass. You know, so hey, bartender, Mai Tai, have another Mai Tai, just like on the Lucy Show. Alcohol was amazing until it wasn't. And not surprisingly, the people that I was dating and going out with at the time encouraged my alcohol use. But I also was fortunate enough to get involved with Science of Mind in the Atlanta Church of Religious Science. And I started ministerial school in 1989. And so I realized that alcohol was not the problem. I was the problem. I was the problem, but whenever there was a problem, alcohol was pretty close by. And so thinking of who was the boss of me, right? And so I made a resolution. I didn't call it that, but I made a resolution. That's what it was. Well, I got to cut back on my alcohol use. Just got to cut back. In other words, alcohol will not be the boss of me anymore. Not surprisingly, it didn't work. And not for long. Nothing changed. So then later I said, okay, I will only have alcohol with food as part of a meal. You know, I mean, there's a glass of wine with dinner, you know, and that worked for about 2 hours, you know. And so I said, okay, I will only have alcohol when I'm with other people. Okay, no more alcohol by myself. Well, that didn't even last 2 hours. So okay, so all I have to do is just cut back. I mean, just cut back. What's hard about that? Just cut back. So 1 bottle of wine later, I said, okay, when I woke up and got off the floor, I said, oh, this is not working either. And I was at a loss. I didn't know what to do. Nothing worked, you know. I was obviously not the boss of me, you know. So anyway, I was starting my 4th year in ministerial school, and this is what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened. I've never told you before. So you know that I was living in Atlanta, and at that time, the Atlanta Braves, you know, the baseball team, the Atlanta Braves were in the World Series, and this was the autumn of the. Try again. This was the autumn of 1992, and so one of my classmates in ministerial school, and his name was Zach. I'm sorry that I've lost touch with Zach. But anyway, Zach had a tiny apartment in a historic neighborhood in Atlanta. The neighborhood is called Ponce Highlands. So a very nice historic neighborhood. He had a tiny apartment. And so Zach invited me and a couple of other classmates to a World Series party at his apartment. This was the last game of the series. Okay, it was the Atlanta Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays, last game of the season. And Zach put out this enormous spread of homemade Mexican food. It was amazing, you know, had homemade enchiladas and tamales and burritos and chips and salsas. I remember this table was completely full of food. It took up the table took up about 1/3 of his living room, you know, and so we're just standing there. There was nowhere to sit. And so we ate some food and watched the game. We ate some food and watched the game. And then there was a timeout, so we ate some food. We ate and watched the game. And through the course of the evening, I drank 1 bottle of Heineken beer. That was my beer at the time. So I drank 1 bottle of Heineken beer. And then, you know, we were barely even paying attention to it. And the Braves struck out. And the game was over. Just like that. I mean, wait, what? It's over? It's over? And we just kind of stared at each other. We didn't know what to say because, you know, it's over. Toronto won. And so we went home. The next morning was a Saturday, and I woke up with a headache. The light was really bright. And I tried to move, but when I tried to move, the room was kind of spinning sideways. And I kind of fell back in the bed and tried not to throw up. And I opened my eyes and I said out loud, I'm hungover. I have a hangover. 1 bottle of beer and I have a hangover. So I was still lying in bed. I think the room was still kind of spinning sideways, you know, but anyway, I said, okay, that's it. That's it. I don't have time for this. No more. No more. I'm done. I've tried everything. Nothing worked. You know, just like my dad with a cigarette in 1968. And I said, okay, that's it. No more alcohol. I'm tired of this. I don't have time for this. There will be no more alcohol. It is no longer part of my life from this moment forward. In other words, you're not the boss of me. Okay? At least where alcohol is concerned, you are not the boss of me. I'm the boss of me. So now you want to know, did the change stay changed? And it's because it's easy to say, well, I'm going to make a change and I'm going to do this. And then did it change? Yes. The change stayed changed for 17 years. And in that time, something shifted inside of me. And I don't know how to explain it. That's why I've never told you the story before. I don't know how to explain it. But in 2008, a few months after my dad passed away, I was living in Durango. There was 20 degrees and the snow in my front yard was 3 feet deep. I couldn't get the car out of the garage. And so I said to myself, I bet some brandy would be good. You know, I'm having this conversation in my head like I do. And I said, brandy, no, we're not going to do that. That's alcohol. We're not going to do that. I said, I don't know. I think it would be okay. And so this is not everybody's experience. I understand that, but this was mine. And so a few days later, when I could get the car out of the driveway, I went down to Wagon Wheel and I got some brandy. But something had changed inside of me, and I found that I could enjoy a little brandy and then be done with it. Just have a little bit and I'm done. There was no compulsion to drink the entire bottle, because that's what I would do. I would drink the entire bottle until the bottle was empty or until I fell down, whichever came first. And that was over. I don't, there was no more compulsion. A little was plenty. Why would you want more than that? Well, I'm done. I don't want any more. It was kind of like iced tea. A glass of iced tea could really hit the spot sometimes. But one glass is enough. You don't have to drink the whole pitcher. I mean, who does that? You just have a glass of iced tea and it's nice. Would you like a second glass? No, thank you. I'm fine. This was good. And somehow alcohol had become the same way for me. One glass was enough, or one beer was enough, maybe, and I'm done. I don't want any more. Now, I emphasize again, this does not describe everybody's experience, but this is what happened with me. And somehow, and I've asked for understanding. I have prayed to understand this, but I still don't understand. And somehow in those 17 years, I developed an off switch. Some internal mechanism that says a little is enough. You don't need any more. Enough is enough. So there it is. Now, there are many ways in which to say that alcohol will not be the boss of me anymore. And for most people, the correct answer is abstinence. And I'll tell you something, abstinence is never, ever the wrong answer. Okay, nobody ever made a mistake by saying no to alcohol. But after 17 years of strict abstinence, something inside of me shifted and I had no more compulsion. Whatever addiction was developing within me ended. And so that's the story. But we are still left with the question, who is the boss of me? Okay, who is the boss of me? And we've looked at a couple of examples, my dad with the cigarette and me with the alcohol, and to find things that are not the boss of me anymore. But who is? Who is the boss of me? Now, to explore this question and answer this question, we need to turn to the book of Genesis. Because who is the boss of me is actually a very spiritual question after all, and I'm going to show you the answer. And in looking at the answer, I will reveal to you a secret, the way it was revealed to me. Okay, an amazing secret that is encoded into the Bible, along with a prayer that will always be answered, along with the way to have all prayer answered. I think that's a pretty good deal for the new year. So we turn to the story of Joseph. Now, Joseph is my favorite story in the Bible. I love the story of Joseph. And the story of Joseph is unique in that it is the only story in Genesis that can really be taken literally. There are spiritual applications, there's spiritual meaning in it, but it's pretty much an actual story of actual events. Everything else in Genesis is largely symbolic or metaphorical. So, Joseph. Now, Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob. Joseph's brothers are jealous of him, and so they sell him into slavery to get rid of him. Then Joseph ends up in Egypt, and the wife of the man who purchases Joseph accuses Joseph falsely. She accuses him of sexual assault. And even though Joseph is innocent, he still ends up spending a long, long time in prison. But because Joseph is able to interpret dreams, he comes to the attention of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And so Joseph saves Egypt from the terrible famine. He saves Egypt from economic collapse. And then we read this. This is Genesis chapter 41, starting in verse 40. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word, neither hand nor foot will be lifted in all of Egypt." Now listen, the day that I read this and understood what it meant, I cried. And I just sat in the chair and stared out the window for a long time. Now, there are 4 elements in the story: Pharaoh, Joseph, the people, and the land of Egypt. In this story, Pharaoh is a symbol of God. Joseph is you and me. The land of Egypt is a symbol for this world, this physical world around us. The people in the land of Egypt are the circumstances and the conditions and appearances in our world, right? The things and the stuff, we got stuff, the stuff that we experience in our world. These are the people in the land of Egypt. All right, so now let's read it again, knowing what the symbols mean. In other words, this is God's message to each one of us. It's exciting. It was hidden from us until we were responsible enough to use it with love and sharing. Genesis 41, God says to each one of us, "You will be the boss of your experience on earth. The circumstances and appearances will submit to your orders. I hereby put you in charge of the experience you have on earth. I am God, but as long as I am on the throne of your heart and mind, the things of the earth will obey you." What this is telling us is that the stuff in our lives, the conditions, the appearances, the circumstances, listen, even matter itself is waiting for our instructions, right? It is looking to us for direction. And if we are not actively, consciously giving instructions to the conditions in our lives, then those conditions will not know what to do, and they will become chaotic. But there's one important prerequisite, okay? One prerequisite that we have to fulfill, okay? In other words, one thing that we have to do first before we are fully qualified to give directions and instructions to the things of the earth, okay? We have to answer the question, who is the boss of me? All right? We have to have the loving presence of God on the throne of our hearts and minds. And we have to be obedient to God's law of love, and we have to obey God's word. Okay. In other words, now, listen, in the 1960s and 70s, talking about the 1960s, in the 1960s and 70s, this idea of obedience started to become really old-fashioned. Nobody wanted to hear about that. We were too busy doing our own thing. Okay, well, you got to do your own thing, and we do our own thing in that We each have something unique and important to give and share. But we are still responsible for following God's law of love one another, and we are still responsible for obeying God's commandments. Listen, here is the big secret. Here's the great secret. The things and the conditions and the circumstances around us will listen to us, and they will obey us to the extent that we obey God's law. Okay? In other words, as soon as God becomes the boss of me, I become the boss of the things around me. And I am the boss of the things around me to the degree that I have made God the boss of me. Now, here is a prayer that will always be answered. But are you ready for it? Okay, we'll go with that. We'll say yes. Here it is. Please, God, how can I be more obedient to you? Show me, teach me how to become more obedient to you. When you pray that prayer from your heart, God will hear it, and God will answer you every time. And all the things of the earth, I don't know how it works, but all the things of the earth will hear you as well. And all the things of the earth together will say, okay, here's someone whose instructions we are required to obey. You see, we cannot go our own way and act in unkind, unloving, uncaring, deceitful ways and still expect prayer to be answered. It doesn't work that way. It's not possible. Why? Because when we are when we are rude and unkind and unloving and uncaring, we are telling life to come back at us in unkind, uncaring, and chaotic ways. Because we're the boss. But when we come before God and we ask for the privilege of becoming more obedient to God, then life will respond to us in the same manner. Okay? Then life will say to us, hey, boss, what is it you want? Healing? Joy? Peace? Success? Prosperity? Blessings for your children? Whatever. Name it, and we're on it. We will obey your word. Just tell us what to do, and we're on it. What an exciting and amazing way to start the new year. And see, listen, it's not really about making resolutions that are probably going to be forgotten. Okay, because what actually happens? Listen, we say, well, I'm making a resolution, I'm going to lose weight. And then our stomach says, yeah, no, you're not the boss of me. Or I'm going to relax more, and I'm going to meditate 10 minutes a day. And our mind says, no, sorry, you're not the boss of me. Or we're going to save money, we're going to pay off the credit cards, we're going to read more, we're going to do whatever it is. Says, all right, you're not the boss of me. And that's the end of the resolution. But when we come at it from the opposite direction, we come at it from the back door and we say, God, you're the boss of me. I want you to be the boss of me. Help me to be more obedient to your law. Teach me to be obedient to your love. Then everything around us is required to obey us. That's the miracle. That's the key. When God is the boss within our heart and mind, then we become the boss of everything on earth, exactly like in the story of Joseph. Now, I hope this morning that you feel inspired and excited and challenged like I do. Because the blessings that we reveal when our prayer is answered, the light that we reveal and the blessings that we reveal bring light and blessings and miracles to the whole world. That's our job. Miracles for everyone. Okay? Happy New Year, everybody. Jerry, back to you.
Thank you, Mark. That is amazing. It really is. Thank you so much. Wonderful. And thank you so much for that for the first of the year, because it's a great thing to keep in mind for the year. Anybody have anything they'd like to say to Mark? Hello? Who's there? Oh, Steve's moving around. Okay.
I think he has something. Mark, you might want to say something to Mark.
Mark, did you want to say something?
I think Steve wants to.
Oh,
say
Steve wanted to, but where did he go? What am I supposed to
Maybe
say?
he didn't want to say anything.
And maybe he didn't want to say anything, but we all loved it, and I hope all of you online appreciated it. And it's a great way to start the new year. And keep in mind that little prayer. How did it go? How can I
What?
be more of, I can't even.
How
read
can
my
I be
mind,
more
but
obedient to
anyway,
you?
I love it. I love that thought, and I love the fact that, it's a great way to open up how we treat other people and how we perceive things in our lives. And the heck with those resolutions. They don't work anyway. But thank you, Mark, so very much. Okay, we have a song. Did you want to say something? You walked away.
Well, yeah, but that's because I activated my phone and it was
Oh,
gonna take over the whole room and I had to.
okay.
I had
Well,
to still
did you want to
that,
say
but-
something to Mark?
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for your story, especially for the true confession part. I come from a similar place, and I'm one of the people that had to go the other way with it. And as of last year, November 27th, I celebrated 30 years. So
Fantastic.
what you shared is really what has to happen to all of us, And it's a timely message for me right now in my life, because I'm
Good.
facing, just being sober doesn't mean my life's going to go the way I want it. But being a servant of God, I'm now reassured. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have our choir and Margaret, and the song is 117, Heaven is Here. And yes, it is. I believe that wholly. Heaven is right here on earth, and you make your own.
Right here.
Keep us faithful. Thank you. We would have our celebration of abundance now. If you would take your gifts and place them over your heart and read with me. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive through infinity. I am prosperous. We don't have children today. Our weather has precluded that, and my darling Rhonda has strep throat. So keep her in your prayers for her voice to come back and for her to feel better. We miss our children when they're not here, the sound of their lovely laughter and just joy is just amazing to me. But I'm sure they would be back as soon as they can. And our tree is down, and so we're starting the new year all fresh. So I hope that all of you will be here with us throughout the year. And Mark, you are such a blessing to us. Thank you so much for your words. Always a pleasure. Okay.
Pleasure's mine.
Thank you. If you will join me with our, oh, wait, we have, Bill, you're going to do a closing prayer for us? Okay. I almost got out of line there. To read the directions, always.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year.
Good morning.
Love is a need. The hunger for love is much more difficult to remove than the hunger for bread. That's a quote from Mother Teresa. Our need for love is just as vital as our need for food. People thrive only through the satisfaction of both physical and spiritual needs. The pace of our schedule, set in motion to provide for our own bread, often makes it difficult to give of ourselves. Can't we just make a financial donation to a charity? Isn't it easier to buy a gift for a friend? Thankfully, deep inside, we are not satisfied until we are giving and receiving meaningful acts of love. The walkaway is, I have the time to love and be loved. It's just as important as caring for our basic needs. God bless you and have a great week.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, if you will join me for our closing songs, I would be honored. Are you going to do that? Okay. Me out of here. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together in unity and yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, family all Have
in
a
a high
blessed
key.
week, and we'll see you next week. Amen.
Namaste.
Amen.
Thank you.
Voice didn't
Nice
do
to
that.
have you guys here.
Equally.
Singing with us.
Hey, Mark,
Hey,
Thank you.
how are you?
I'm all right. How about you?
Happy New Year.
Okay. So, how was your visit with the
Ron, you
gospel?
gonna set it to record?
Already did.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
I
know, I
got
mean,
it, hon.
unrecord and to save. Are you
I
gonna
got it.
unrecord it?
I got it recorded.
Okay,